we knew we would be electing a new representative tonight. I am honored and I am humbled to have received the support of my community and to have the opportunity to serve as your next representative from Florida's 13th Congressional District. Thank you.
Welcome back. That right there, David Jolly defeating Alex Sink in a devastating blow for Democrats in a special election. The difference, less than 3,500 votes. Ahead, we'll talk with Republican strategist Ford O'Connell and columnist John Friedman about the national implications of this special congressional election.
And after Senator Dianne Feinstein claims the CIA tampered with a computer network set up for Senate investigators and staffers, CIA Director John Brennan claims nothing could be further from the truth. We'll be joined by former Congressman Pete Hoekstra, the former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, to discuss what the CIA was up to and what happens next.
And almost a year after the tragic events at the Boston Marathon, the city prepares for 2014 with twice as many police and thousands more runners. We'll talk to a Boston icon, Howie Carr, about this year's security measures and the response from residents, plus his book, Rat Man, about the trial and conviction of Whitey Bulger. Also, real quickly, we want to update you on that story out of New York. Now, 2 people confirmed dead in the explosion and building collapse happening in Harlem. America's Forum continues right now.
It's hour 2 of America's Forum. Welcome back. I'm J.D. Hayworth.
And I'm John Bachman. J.D., great to be back with you. We'll get more on the Boston Marathon right now.
The safety and security plan this year is comprehensive, much more comprehensive than last year, and there will be a significant increase in the number of police officers and other public safety personnel deployed. We are confident that the overall experience of runners and spectators will not be impacted, and that all will enjoy a fun, festive, family-oriented day.
The Boston Marathon takes place on April 21st. This year's event sees additional security measures, as you just heard, they're coming into effect. Twice the police, more security cameras, lists of searchable and banned items. The new measures are the result of a 7-month review on how to keep athletes and spectators alike safe from harm. Some 36,000 runners are expected to take place in the 2014 race, about 9,000 more than last year, and spectators are expected to reach as many as 1 million people at the event, double the number from last year. That, all according to the Associated Press. Organizers hope to recapture the spirit of the event and focus on family-oriented fun as well. Joining us right now to talk about this, J.D. Hayworth and Howie Carr, an icon of Beantown. Thanks so much for being with us.
Hey, my pleasure. Good to be here.
So, Howie, you not only being on talk radio at WRKO, but writing a column for the Boston Herald, a lot of us look to you as really the oracle of Beantown. When you reflect back on last year's events, and now the response, your take on all of this?
Well, I think they're doing a pretty good job. The police, you know, they're not going to have anybody moving around in bulletproof vests or Kevlar. There's not going to be anyone with automatic weapons. You're not going to have to go through security gates. And then I think that you know, when you have 26.2 miles of course, which extends over 8 different cities and towns, you can't block off everything. And they also said, well, you know, we would ask you not to bring your backpacks with you, but we're not going to say you can't bring your backpacks, because you know what would happen if people saw that there was a line of people to get searched for backpacks. They'd just start just abandoning them in alleys. And I can tell you, after what happened last year, after the explosions, people were turning in you know, just an empty bag from Target or a supermarket. Oh, there's a bag down here, and everybody was scrambling around, and it was just pure craziness. And I think they're trying to keep it under control. I'm glad too that they're going to crack down on the so-called bandits, the people who just you know, come into the race.
The imposters who join the race.
The Rosie Ruizes of the 21st century, yes. Yeah, so they're gonna try to crack down on them as well. But I think it'll be pretty good. You know, the trial has really been a pain too here. The surviving terrorist has now got two death penalty lawyers in addition to his full complement of defense lawyers. I mean, it's going to end up costing the taxpayers tens of millions of dollars.
In your mind, should the surviving brother have been tried as an enemy combatant?
Yes, I think so. I mean, he was a terrorist. I mean, he left terrorist notes in that boat, and you know, saying we Muslims are all one. And yeah, I think so. I think it would have been a lot simpler. You know, the best thing of all, JD, would have been if they had a curfew in the area where he was around all day, and then they lifted the curfew, and one of the guys decided his wife didn't like him smoking, so he went out to have a cigarette, and he saw the guy hiding in the boat. Now, if that guy had quit smoking, JD, he probably would have stayed in the house. The Joker, as we call him, would have bled to death, and this would all be a moot point.
How do the people of Boston feel about this trial? Would they like to see it relocated someplace else?
No, they want it. They want it right here, so they can see it. Yeah, the most disturbing thing about it is the fact that you know, after his teen throb Tiger Beat picture appeared on the Rolling Stone, you had these teeny bopper types showing up at the trial, and you know, free Joe Carr. You know, I want to marry you, Joe Carr. It was just very disturbing.
Well, there's another case that has made news. Last week, a Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court ruled a man who took cell phone photos up the skirts of women riding the Boston subway did not violate state law,
right,
because the women were not nude or partially nude.
The decision came out, I believe, Wednesday, and Thursday it went through. It was repealed unanimously. It was changed, and Governor Deval Patrick signed it into law. But again, it was somewhat disconcerting that the vote by the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts was 9-0. You know, I mean, there's some Republicans on that court, and you'd think that someone would have said, hey, you know, maybe this is a poorly worded statute, but this is not what the legislature meant.
Yeah, too much emphasis on the letter, not the spirit of the law.
Exactly.
And speaking of the law, yet another law enforcement related story, one in which you played a major part, your new book, Rat Man.
Right.
The trial and conviction of Whitey Bulger. Now, this got to be personal for you, Howie. Explain the situation with the Bulger brothers.
Whitey Bulger was a leading gangster in Boston. He was a serial killer, and he was an FBI informant. He used the FBI to take out first his alleged associates in what was called the Winter Hill Gang. Then they took out everybody in the mafia for him. He was the last man standing, and his brother was the president of the Massachusetts State Senate, the most powerful politician in Massachusetts. And so whenever anybody would go after Billy Bulger, the president of the Senate, they'd get a call, you know, hey, something's going to happen to you. And then if any cop went after Whitey Bulger, they would find themselves in one case, the head of the state police was going to be forced to retire by a anonymous rider in the state budget until it was vetoed by the governor. Another guy stopped Whitey taking money out of the country. He was transferred from Logan Airport, which is one of the premier assignments in Boston law enforcement.
Let's hold up the book for a second. And the other point is that they were coming after you.
Yeah. I wrote a lot about Billy Bulger and his ties to Whitey Bulger, and again they controlled the police. So they had 6 FBI agents on the payroll. They controlled the various people that bought off in the Boston Police Department. So you know, when you'd find out that they were coming after you, there was nowhere to go. There was nowhere to turn.
Wow.
And how is Boston different today in a post-Bulger Boston?
Well, I mean, it's a much nicer place. South Boston, where these guys operated from, has gentrified somewhat. And you know, the thing is, though, John, I think that these things run in cycles. You know,
Yeah, certainly.
Back in the 30s, they had gangster in South Boston. His brother was the president. Was not the president, but he was a member of the state senate.
But it rhymes, as Mark Twain said.
Exactly, J.D.
Whitey Bulger, thanks so much for your input. We want you to stick around, and you at home or in front of your computer, we want you to participate in our discussion. You can tweet us your comments at Newsmax TV, # America's Forum. Visit us at Facebook.com or send your email comments to connect@newsmaxtv.com. There's more straight ahead.